So real quick, word of hope for you today. You know, we're in our series that we launched this Sunday titled Something Greater. And we're talking about Abraham and Sarah and their issues in Genesis 16, where out of weariness, and I really want to stress this, out of weariness, and out of an empty place that weariness brought her to, she has the idea from which Ishmael is born. We've talked about regret. We talked about things that happen that sometimes we do, mistakes we make, and we struggle with the results of that. Consequences are real. You know that. You can't live life and not have some regrets. But the powerful thing, the beautiful thing that we talked about Sunday is when God shows up a little bit later in Genesis 17 and says, Abraham, I want you to know I'm changing your name from Abram to Abraham. I'm changing her from Sarai to Sarah. And I'm going to keep my promise and fulfill Sarah's purpose. I want to say this to you today because I feel it strongly. It is legitimately time to transition to hope. Talked about that a minute on Sunday. Transition to hope. What does that mean? That means you shift your expectation off of your regret and begin to expect and believe God that in spite of the regret, that where you've been emptied, you're going to become empowered. And that in that empowerment, God's going to meet you. God's going to meet you in that place that you have struggled with so greatly. And it is out of that struggle that a powerful success is going to be born. Here's the key. When God says to him, he says, I'm changing her name. She'll no longer be Sarai. I told you Sunday it meant princess. But I'm going to call her queen. Sarah means queen. I want to put it this way. Sarai is her potential. She's in her potential phase. But she's not yet been released to live her purpose. When I talk to you about being empowered where you've been emptied, God meeting you in that empty place in your life and empowering you, then he makes good on his promise to move you from potential to purpose. I'm talking to somebody right now who's challenged, who's frustrated. You yourself have come to a weary, empty state because of the purposes you have yet to create. And indeed, maybe you're even afraid you're going to die with your potential not being fully accessed and not living the full measure of what God put in your heart to do. So I want to tell you today, where you've been emptied, you're going to be empowered. Just like Sarah, meaning I've moved from my potential, from having potential. God empowered my potential to release me to live out, walk out, build out, create my purpose. What God did for her, he's going to do for you. Yes, the regrets make life messy. They create complication in our situation. We've been talking about that. There are heartaches that come from the Ishmaels in our lives. But the kingdom truth, the powerful truth, the thing that I believe God wants us to know today, he wants you to know it today, is that where you've been emptied, you're going to be empowered. And God's going to make good on bringing you to that place where he gives you what you need to fulfill your potential, give life to your purpose. And the heartbreak that the Ishmaels in your life have produced in your life are going to be balanced by the laughter and the joy that the Isaacs that are waiting in the wings, the Isaacs that are ahead of you, that's a type of successes that are going to be born out of your struggle. So the Ishmaels create heartache, but Isaac is the heart's desire that brings us to a brand new state of happiness and joy. God's got that for you. Where you've been emptied, you're going to be empowered.